everyone. Welcome to our Maker's Place X Wheel interviews. Joining us today, we have a very special guest, Victoria West, who is an activist, storyteller, and a master of photography works. She participated and won countless photography competitions and is a three times winner of the Portrait Photographer of the Year by the Professional Photographers of Canada. Hello, Victoria. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great as well. Thank you so very much for joining us. So I would like, before we jump into this beautiful drop that we have here today, if you could give us a little bit of background about how you got started into photography and the competitions that I know that you participated in plenty of them, how all of that have been working for you so far.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Um, so I've been a professional portrait photographer since 2008. I mostly was photographing like headshots and glamour, like women's glamour. That's how I was making a living. And then in 2017, I joined the Professional Photographers of Canada. And we have a national image competition every year, and I'm like a pretty naturally competitive person. So I knew that my like headshots and my glamour shots, they were good, but they weren't gonna like wow people who didn't know the subjects or whatever. So I took a course on like being creative because a lot of people don't think they're creative. I didn't really think I was creative, but it's like a muscle, right, that you need to exercise. So I took a course to help me kind of like brainstorm ideas. And then I went out like creating some images for competition, and I did really well. And then I kind of got hooked. And I started just creating every year, like pretty much, maybe like 10 photographs that were pretty elaborate. And then I just put them in competition. I never intended to sell them or anything. But as the years kind of went on, I realized that that's sort of where my passion was. And when I lost my mom just before COVID, that was kind of like the pivotal moment where I was like, all right, like I need to do more than just, pretty pictures for other people. I want to create things that actually mean something to me. So I was really looking for kind of like the next step. And then COVID happened, and that bought me a little bit of time because it shut down my business for, 5 months. And I was just really happy to get back to being able to make money. So, I've been back at work, and then I went on Clubhouse. I didn't want to go on Clubhouse. Someone had told me I needed to go on to learn about Instagram because I suck at Instagram, which you have up there. Yeah, my Instagram's sort of like a mix of like client work and then creative work. So anyway, I went on Clubhouse and I walked into a room, and a photographer that I know was talking about how she was selling her work as NFTs. And that would have been like the last week of February. And then I just kind of knew this was my path. So yeah, I've actually, this month I have cut back a little bit on the headshots and the glamour to be able to focus more on the creative work, which is really exciting. So that's sort of how I ended up here.
Really, really cool. And you have this quite unique style on which you manage to make photography look like fine art, right? And I would like to know what was the inspiration for you to get started in this style in particular.
Well, a lot of people ask me like what photographers, I am inspired by, and I always say painters. I'm inspired by painters. When I listen to photographers talk about their process, especially like photojournalistic photographers, they're all trying to capture like a moment. And I've never really wanted to capture a moment. I wanted to create like a piece of art, like a vision that kind of comes into my head. And then I just go about like making it. So it's a little bit of a different process. And it's funny because since I came into this space, I've kind of been exposed to so many different artists. And I've messaged people saying like, oh, wow, like your photographs are so beautiful. I love them. And had the response, these are paintings. I'm like, oh. So
That's amazing. That's amazing, really. So, about the process, like how long does it usually take for you to get a piece such as this one? Like, I imagine there's a lot of setup and preparation and lighting work, that kind of stuff.
yeah, I mean, some are more elaborate than others. The one that you've got open is a pretty simple one. Um, but I always shoot everything in the studio because I'm a lighting control freak. So I have to shoot my subjects in the studio, and then I usually am building backgrounds around them, and I make the backgrounds from photographs that I've taken. When you enter in photography competitions, there's a lot of rules, and one of those rules is you cannot use any stock photography. Everything that is in that image has to be exposed by you or created by you. So yeah, it can be very elaborate. This one that you have up it's only, well, it's probably like three different photographs combined, but the rib cage I had to draw. I actually had to draw that rib cage. So would have been easier if I could just, buy a stock one off a website, but I couldn't. So yeah.
Oh, you had to draw it then. That's
Yeah.
amazing, really. I mean, yeah, I mean, the more skills you can employ, the better, I suppose.
Yeah.
This is a really cool effect.
When I start creating images, a lot of times I don't know how I'm going to do things. If you close that one, you just go underneath it. There's a truck. And yeah, see it right there, that truck one. So I knew I wanted to make this, and I had no idea like how I was going to make the cage and how I was going to turn the light on and just like all these things. But you just, I knew what I wanted it to look like. So you just put in the time. Like that one, I don't know. Initially, it was probably like, I'm going to say a good like 2 weeks of like meticulous work. I built that cage like bar by bar in Photoshop, and I had to multiply all the people, and then to get it past, like, because when it goes into judging, it's being judged by some of the best photographers in the world, and they're there to tear it apart. So there can't be anything wrong with it because they'll find it and they will shred you. So a lot of my competition images, they go through a lot of different rounds because I'll put them through multiple competitions, and then based on comments, I'll change the image. So a lot of them have had a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I imagine the attention to detail here must be beyond the charts, really. In relationship to pieces such as this one and this one, you have found ways of bringing your activism into the NFT space, right? So could you tell us a little bit more about that experience and how you have been like seeing people interacting with that and reacting to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like any artist, I'm making images that are coming, they're little pieces of me, and I'm an activist. I'm an animal rights activist. I do a lot of like actions here in our little province, and it's something that's I really care about. So it does come through in a lot of the photographs. This one, for example, and the truck one. This one, nobody minded. But the truck one, and there's another one. They were actually, I had put them up on a platform in the spring, and they were banned off the platform. And then after like community outcry, they were reinstated. But I don't know how much that had to do with like the actual message. This image in particular, this one's called Humane Meat. I don't know if you can read the side of the truck there, but what it says is Martian and Sons quality meats. So the idea is like if aliens came and colonized, Earth, and were the more dominant species, what if they treated us the same way that we treat lesser beings? And yeah, so some people love it and some people hate it. But it is what it is, I guess. I mean, I'm not making it for other people, right? I always have made this stuff just for me and like the stories that I want to tell. And sometimes those stories aren't exactly pleasant, I guess.
Absolutely, no, that makes sense. Wow, it's the first artist that I think I have ever interviewed who was banned, and then the first who was reinstated. I find that very intriguing. But yeah, no, I can see how it can be very unsettling for some people. But I guess that's the idea, right? To be thought provoking and to express the stuff that you do in your life, right?
Yeah.
But in relationships to the stories, I would love to go through the pieces of your newest drop, being human, and if you could tell us a little bit about the stories behind those, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, I would love to do that. So this is my first drop on Maker's Place, and I dropped 3 pieces. This one that you have up is titled "It Takes a Village," and then there is. Do you want me to go one at a time here, or do you want me to kind of do like an overview?
We can do an overview and then we go one by one.
Okay, sounds good. So the collection basically shows really, I think, pieces of the human experience that we can all relate to. So one is really about like overcoming difficulties, struggles in your life. The other one about like death, loss, and grief. And then the third about like family, friends, support, raising children, all those sort of things. So I think that everyone can kind of relate to each one of these. And I think that that kind of human experience theme pulled them all together. They all also have like a very like kind of Renaissance feel to them. So I thought that they looked good as a collection.
Oh, they really do. They really, really do. Could you tell us a little bit more about the creative process and inspiration for It Takes a Village?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite images ever. I had this idea in my head for probably about a year and a half before I was able to actually find a family who was willing to be nude together. So I had this like big plan on what the pose would look like. And then there was a 2-year-old and she was just like not having it. So it kind of like I had them in the general position, and then the child was just like freaking out, and then her grandmother and her aunt were trying to like console her, and her mother was very pregnant. She was just like exhausted. And that moment was a true moment, which I love. So I shot them in the studio. I live in Canada. It'd also be very cold and nobody wants to be naked outside. So I shot them in the studio. And then I built the background from images that I'd taken while I was traveling in Europe. So it has that kind of more European feel to it, which I really love. And yeah, I just love it. It's like 3 generations, right? And I think like the bodies that we're used to seeing in artwork, especially now, it's always like like thin and young and beautiful, and that's what we're used to seeing. And I really want to show bodies of like all different sizes and ages. And I mean, and if you look at like the old master paintings, you see bodies that look like this, like that was considered beautiful. And I think, it's time to see that again in art. So I really love the fine art nudes like this.
Yeah, and it's amazing how like not just the composition, but the way that they are interacting also corroborate with this feeling of Renaissance painting, right? They are like all intricately connected. I think yeah, it's a really cool effect. So on to another one. This one is a very how can I say this, ominous one. It has a dense atmosphere, but it's very touching, really. Could you tell us a little bit more about this one?
Yeah, this one's a harder one to talk about. Every time I talk about it, I cry. I'm gonna try to keep my shit together here. Okay. So I had mentioned earlier that I lost my mom to cancer just before COVID, and she died in hospice, and she was surrounded by, family, and I thought that that was just like such a horrible thing to have happened, and it was very tragic and felt just awful. And then COVID happened, and I probably thought to myself at least 1,001 times that year, like how grateful I was that my mom was sick in 2019 and not in 2020. And just thought about all of the people who didn't get the chance to say goodbye. So this image is just sort of like a bit of a, I guess it's sort of like trying to show like those final moments in a beautiful way, like we're all going to die, and if that's how we go, we're lucky, and not everybody gets to be that lucky. So I needed to make this image. It was like therapy, and once I made it, the thought stopped bouncing around in my head all the time. So that's where this came from.
No, I see. Yeah, I mean, it's really touching, the fact that you can turn that moment into something, that many people missed, and appreciate that, because you probably couldn't have known by the time, right? So I'm glad you managed to express and find some peace within your art. That's really touching.
Thank you.
And there's another one. This one is, the background is amazing. I would love to know how you managed to do this effect, and she wasn't outside, right? Or was she?
No, she wasn't outside.
How did you set this up? Wow.
I did a lot. I like stacked boxes and things like that in the studio to get her into like a climbing position, and then I built that backdrop in around her. She is someone who I photographed a few times as like a client, and she has been dealing with a lot of struggle with like mental illness and PTSD, and she felt like she was finally kind of overcoming that, and she had messaged me saying she wanted to make something to kind of symbolize that. And so this is what I ended up coming up with, was this image. Just felt, like kind of climbing out of the fire into like a better place sort of idea. And I mean, whether or not, you struggle with mental illness, I think everyone can relate to, difficult times in life and things like that. So she really loved it. When I shared it on Instagram, actually, a woman who I know, another photographer, messaged me, and she's like in tears. And she told me that when she saw it, it was like, it was just exactly like how she'd been feeling, and like had thanked me for making it, which was so sweet. I sent her a print of it, and she's actually an amazing photographer. So I was really excited that she wanted that up in her home. So yeah, I do. I really love this one too. The tones and stuff. I like it. It's magical to me.
No, absolutely. I mean, the color, everything. It's really, really impressive. And when I see something like this, what I think is like, did you had a finalized vision of like what this would look like when you got it done before you got it started, or do you have a creative process that you go figuring out as you go?
I mean, this one I had a pretty clear idea. You'd have to get that pose right beforehand, right? So I did know that, I pictured her kind of climbing out of the fire. Yeah, I am a very, I don't know what the word, I just visualize things really well beforehand. Like usually I'll go into a shoot knowing exactly what I want to get out of it. And I'm really there just to make one piece of art. It's kind of how my mind works.
Really, really cool. So the community would love to know, what was the inspiration for It Takes a Village? It's a really deep piece they found.
Well, I think like I because I photograph a lot of women, I'm photographing a lot of women, and I'm photographing a lot of families. And one of the things that people are always forcing me to make them skinnier. It's like this ongoing thing, right? Women don't want to look fat. They want everything sort of, changed and hidden. And I just wanted to photograph a family like in the most natural way possible, and just show that it can be beautiful. Like we don't have to, have our hair, makeup, whatever. Like we can be naked and it's all good. So that was really just why I wanted to do it. I love fine art nudes as well. I like love the human body. So yeah, I just felt like having a family portrait in the nude is just so, it kind of like, I feel like it reminds us that we're like part of nature, we're so disconnected in so many ways. And there's just something so like natural about that. And it's beautiful, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It truly, truly is. So on the technical side of things, what programs do you use to finalize the piece?
Well, I do all of my editing in Photoshop, if that's what you mean.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. Really, really cool. So if you could, let's say, collaborate with any artist in the space, who would that be?
Oh, that's a tough question.
I know, that's what I love.
That is a tough question. Well, there's a few people who I've spoken to about collaborations. I'm like, I don't know if I want to say because they're not finalized yet. But Lawrence Fuller, he's like a spoken word poet and an actor, and he's incredible. And I feel like he and I have very similar taste in our work, or I should say, the style of work that he collects and what I like is very similar. So I think he'd be a good match for me.
Oh, I see. So you have been collecting as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of money yet. Yeah, I have also been on Tezos for a while, so I can afford to collect over there. And I've collected a little bit on ETH, but yeah, because I was banned off that platform early on and then reinstated, it just kind of left like not a great taste in my mouth there. And I was kind of ETH platform homeless for a while. So I kind of got more involved in the Tezos community because of that. And then I really only came back once I was able to get into a couple of the curated platforms on Ethereum, like Maker's Place here. So that's where I was.
Oh yeah, no. Also, additionally, since you touched on that, the community would like to know how was the process like to have your ban overturned? Like, did you seek out community support, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was really fast. I mean, it went like NFT Twitter viral within, half an hour, and people were just demanding that it was reinstated. I think too, a lot of people were looking at it going like, what if that's banned, like my stuff could get banned. A lot of the dark arts community was quite concerned because the pieces that were banned have been on Instagram and Facebook and have been through like the traditional photography, competitions for years, and there was no issue. So I don't really think, I had followed the rules as far as, not showing anything that couldn't be shown or whatever. So to have it banned on an NFT platform was like, really? It was not what I was expecting. And it wasn't what other people expected. So I think that made people think about their own work. It was deemed objectionable. That was the response that it was given. And yeah, there was a lot of threats against the platform. So I think they were just like, ugh, we better put this back before it damages us too much. So they did.
No, absolutely. That does make sense. I mean, as you say, it went through so many circles without a problem. Why would it have it here, right? Of
Yeah.
all the places. So I'm glad they did reinstate it. Absolutely. So, are there different styles of photography that you would like to explore in the future?
Not really. That sounds terrible. I have explored photography already. Like I've been doing this for quite a while, right? So I know what I like at this point. My style is like pretty strong. I don't imagine I'll veer away from like portraiture, just because I don't like photographing things. I only like photographing, living beings. Um, and yeah, just where I'm at in my career, like I don't see me, yeah, veering away from it too much.
I see. No, yeah. The community would like to know. This is an interesting question. I should have asked all the artists as well, now that you mentioned. Um, if you could choose anyone in the world to capture, who would that be?
Oh, that is a hard question. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of people I'd like to photograph. I gotta pick one though, huh?
You gotta pick one. That's the game, and there you also have to give a reason why.
Uh, okay, I'm gonna go with Joaquin Phoenix because he's like an incredible activist and a little bit of like a little bit of a activism hero for me. Plus, I think he'd photograph really well, and people would be interested to see that. So yeah, I'll go with him.
That's an interesting pick. Yeah, I love this question. You bet every single photographer from now on is gonna have to hear this one. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So okay, say we let's fast forward a few years. How do you see the evolution of the NFT space, and how do you want to be situated in?
Oh my god, I honestly this space keeps just like surprising me
I
constantly.
know.
Well, okay. So I hope that it's something that I'll be able to talk about with, you know, people like in my normal life, that it will be something that everybody kind of understands instead of like people looking at me like I'm nuts. People already thought I was nuts because of the whole like animal rights activism, and now I'm adding this in, so people just have no idea what the hell I'm talking about like ever anymore. Um, so yeah, hopefully it becomes a little bit more mainstream. For me, like where my role is, I mean, I think like hopefully I will continue to be a big part of this space. Like I've built a lot of community. I've got a lot of friends here. I really love like having this huge community, like global community of artists. It's been super inspiring. I feel like I've kind of met, my people, you know. Um, Hopefully, this space is going to give me the ability to stop shooting headshots and other photos that I don't really want to take, and give me, the freedom to create what I want and be able to make a living at it. So I'm hopeful for that. I mean, as far as everything else that's going to happen, I have no idea. I'm doing it all now. I'm in DeFi and I'm buying like collectibles. Like, I don't even know who I am anymore. So I have no idea who I'll be in 5 years with this.
Just jumping everything. I love it. No, we kind of have to, right? Like we gotta go through everything to really try and make sense of this space. I love that. Do you have any work in progress that you could perhaps, I mean, share or talk about a little bit?
I do have I do have a lot of stuff in progress. But I can't really share it yet. Everything is kind of hush hush at the moment. So no.
Not even, oh my God, not even a snippet. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, I know. And I didn't prepare for that either, so I apologize. Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. It's okay. We just take what we can get. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so, do you intend on keep expanding onto this Renaissance style?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think like almost all of my work fits into that Renaissance kind of style. Just it's the lighting and the tones that I like. So a lot of stuff will go in there. And definitely what I'm going to be bringing to Maker's Place is more of this type of work. I think it's suited well for this platform. So yep, you definitely expect to see more.
You know what's like? It's just a weird story, but many years ago, I found a Facebook group that was, I think it was pictures that looked like Renaissance paintings. And they were just like, like it was because they were weird that they looked like that. No, they were known intentionally done like that. And now when I see your work, just see it done intentionally, I think it works beautifully. I love that. I love this concept. It's really good.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that it's just like everyone kind of has their own style. It's not like I'm looking at these paintings saying this is what I want them to look like, but it's just what I'm drawn to. It just ends up kind of having a painterly feel, right? So yeah, you kind of hone that after so many years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So someone wants to know. This is. Ooh, let's hear this. If someone wanted to work with you, what would be the best way to approach you?
Probably just message me on Twitter. Like that's where I'm most active. Yeah, send me a DM on Twitter.
All right, cool. So when it comes to the shootings, I imagine that, I mean, it must take a lot of tries to be able to get this right. Or maybe it doesn't. What I keep thinking to myself is, how do you count a day? Like, is there an image that just pops up and you say, okay, no, this is perfect, this is gonna work? Did you just keep going until you get there?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to take that many to get this one because, like I said, the child was not cooperating. so so when they were trying to keep the kids still, I was just sort of shouting extra directions like relax your hand and like lean in more to your sister or whatever. I know when I get it. For me, like I've got a lot of experience, right? So as far as like I'm not messing around with my lighting or anything like that. It's sort of like when you first start driving a car, you have to like think about everything that you're doing. And then one day you're just like, how did I get from here to there? Like I don't even remember driving there. It's sort of like that at this point. I can just focus on the people. I don't need to focus on, like the camera or the lighting. Like I've got that down. So it's just a matter of like waiting for that right second. I mean, I probably took like 100 different, digital images of that and then just picked the best one. The
Mm-hmm.
people didn't really want to be recognized either, so having their heads kind of turned away was better, which I think is good too, because I didn't want it to be about them so much as more of like a abstract, like something anyone could kind of relate to.
Mm-hmm. It's more of a concept, right?
Yeah.
So for those who are looking at starting to take pictures, what is one thing that you wish you knew before you started?
Um, One thing I wish I knew, well, having a better camera is not going to make you a better photographer. So I wish I knew that. It's not about the gear. It's about understanding lighting. That's what makes you a good photographer. And you can do that with an iPhone. So yeah, spend your money taking lighting courses, not buying a new lens.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. You can't buy your way into into greatness, I suppose.
Mhm.
And I was going to ask, how do you educate yourself to take better pictures? Like, what was the process of learning?
Well, I mean, I'm still learning stuff all the time, right? Like, whenever I like that truck image that we were looking at, for example, I was like, how am I going to turn the light on? Because the truck did not have a light on, and I didn't know how to do that. So I just like looked up a tutorial on the internet, like, how do you turn a car light on? Flern, which is Phlearn. That's Aaron Nace. He has like tons of great tutorials that people can watch for free if you're like wanting Photoshop sort of information. I mean, there's so much education now. Like, it's just really whatever you want is available. So yeah, I mean, I'm always taking little lessons. I really want to learn Cinema 4D, so maybe adding in some 3D work into my photography is something that I'm interested in. But it's also something that's going to take me a lot of time because I looked at that program and I was like, oh, shit. so I'm going to need more time in my life. But if I can scale back on my physical world business and focus more on NFTs, then I think that'll give me the time to kind of learn some of those new skills.
Really cool. When in doubt, Google it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I know you just said that it perhaps is not the most important thing, but regardless, I would like to know, what sort of equipment are you using?
I bought the new Canon mirrorless. Well, I got the R6. Yeah, that's what it is, like R6. So yeah, I'm using the Canon R6, and I'm still using my older lenses with like an adapter. So I have like I have a few professional lenses. I don't have a lot of gear. I'm really not like a gearhead. So I pretty much don't buy stuff unless I'm forced to. So like all my lighting equipment's really cheap. I use pretty much like Godox lights that are plug-in, and I like low power. So they're like $200 lights. And then the lenses are expensive, but I've had some of them for 10 years. So yeah. I could honestly do this with, like a Canon Rebel. Anybody can afford a camera now that's gonna, be high quality enough to create professional results if they know what they're doing with it.
Hmm. I see. No, absolutely. Very interesting. I was thinking of getting a camera myself, so it's really good to know. Um, so I would love to know, like, when it comes to you moving forward in this profession, what motivates you to continue taking pictures? I mean, emotionally, intellectually, politically, economically. What keeps you going?
Um, it's hard to explain. It's something I have to do. Like, I get like an idea just pops into my head and I have to make it, and I can't stop thinking about it until I make it. So a compulsion. I yeah, it's mandatory. I have to do it. Also, it's the only thing I'm good at. It's the only way that I can make money. So yeah, so money and a compulsion, an obsession. I'm obsessed with it.
That I mean, wow, that's really cool. That's really cool to be obsessed with something, to love something like this. That you just have to keep going and have to keep doing better. Oh, would love to know the history behind this one.
Oh yeah, that one, it's titled The Last Supper. So it's sort of a play off of, the famous painting, The Last Supper. I made this in January 2020 when we all thought that like Australia burning was going to be the worst thing that happened that year. Um, so yeah, it basically depicts like a Jesus-like figure consuming the world, because for anybody who knows like much about like climate change, well, actually, a lot of people don't realize that one of the main drivers of it is actually what we're eating, how we're eating. So like we're literally fueling, the fire by what's on our plates. So that was sort of the meaning behind that one.
Really, really cool. Yeah, because this caused a lot of attention, this one. Yeah. And really interesting to think about the wildfires and the relevance that they had at the time, right? The impact. Really, really cool. Okay, so the last one that I would, I have two more actually. I would like to know what kind of details do you believe make the best photographers?
Sorry, what makes the best photographers?
What kind of details?
Details. You mean like what kind of qualities should someone have?
Yes, characteristics, etc.
Well, I guess that depends on what type of photography they want to do, right? Like I am the complete opposite of a landscape photographer. So sorry, I have a dog who's misbehaving right now.
No, it's okay. It's not that bad.
Ruby.
It's not that bad. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Well, if you want to be a portrait photographer, if you want to do composite work like I do, then you definitely need to have an interest in, people or animals, living. You need to be able to put people at ease for sure. That's, I think that's like the biggest quality that you have to have, because it's being photographed is like a really vulnerable thing to do, especially when you're naked. So you need to have that quality about you for sure. And if you want to do like the type of work that I'm doing and the competitions and stuff that I enter, you have to be like an obsessive compulsive perfectionist, because you will not get anything past those judges. So yeah, you need to be OCD and kind of a people person.
I see. Is this the dog?
I have 5 dogs. Yeah, he's not the barker. Yeah, it wasn't him.
But it's one of them.
Yeah, he's one of my guys.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so before we end, I want to know if you could choose one of all of your pieces as your favorite. Which one would it be and why?
Oh,
I know it's picking your favorite child. I know, but I mean that's the idea.
Yeah. Okay. If I have to pick my favorite, I guess I would go with exsanguinate, which is further down. And no, keep going. There. Okay, stop. It's the one in the middle. Nope, next to that one. Yeah, this one. That is it's a photographic recreation of the pose from this old master painting called Dante and Virgil in Hell. So it's 21 different body parts stitched together because people can't move like that. And I only had one model, so it's one person. It's my husband. And that image was like a real game changer for me. I went to Norway and I had like a medal put around my neck for the World Photographic Cup, which is like the Olympics of photography. It was like an incredible moment. Oh, I got cut off there, but yeah. So that image definitely has a special place in my heart for sure. Probably because of all the like history with it and where it took me.
No, and I think it's my favorite one as well. It's an incredible composition. To think that you managed to put together like all the body parts, it's wonderful.
It was a challenge, that's for sure.
Oh, I imagine. Really, really cool. So, Victoria, thank you so very much for spending this time with us. It was an honor, and I loved having an insight about the process and about your vision. So, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great. I really appreciate it.
I wish you all the luck in the space. I wish all the stuff that you want to realize comes to fruition. And yeah, no, thank you so very much. And I'm sure to many future drops and to many new conversations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And for everyone watching, thank you so very much. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful night. And yeah, have some nice food. Get some rest. Read a book. I don't know. Just thank you guys so very much for being here. And I see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.